You're listening to Riley the Red Pill on Rough Rider Radio.
She's motivated, innovative, inspirational, with real life understanding and real talk with real situations. It's Riley, the Red Pill Talk Show. Let's go.
What's up, family? Yes, it's your girl, Riley the Red Pill, and I am super excited. We have made it. It is 2026, y'all. It's a new year. I'm not doing any New Year's resolutions because they should be life resolutions, right? But we got another year, guys. We got another year, ladies. And let's make it make sense in this renew, if you will, in this rebirth, if you will. Let's focus on starting with us. There's been a lot that has happened in 2025. Being grateful, being blessed, being thankful. I want to encourage each and every one of you all to take the understanding of those three things. Because we have to keep in mind, we lost a lot of great people last year. We have a lot of people that are still dealing with pain and loss. Some that are trying to find their way, and some that did not wake up. So I want to take a moment just to say, be grateful, be thankful, and be blessed. You are here. You have made it. Make it make sense for 2026. As I lean into my series of a topic that I feel like it's getting pushed to the wayside because, let's be real, everybody wants somebody, right? I get it, y'all. Love feels good. It looks good for what you can see. It sounds good for those that only can hear it and not visualize it. But I think for me, I want to just focus on that period of singleism. Now, understand me, this is not the background noise radio. This is not something you're going to have to listen to while you cook or scroll. This is one of those conversations. Because today, as I talk about singleism, I want you to understand this is not that cute Instagram version. And it's not the self-love bath bomb version. And it's not the I'm single, but I'm fine lie people say with tears in their throats. We are going to be talking about reality of being single in a world that treats partnership like proof of value. And before I get into this segment, this series, this conversation, and before anybody gets defensive, let me be clear. This is not an attack on marriage, and this is definitely not bitterness. This is not anti-love, but it's about truth. It's about choice, and it's about power. You see, singleism isn't about someone. It's about being with yourself. And I want you to understand that where you're fully and honestly being with yourself without apology. I already know that some people listening are single and tired of being judged. Some people listening are married and tired of pretending. And some people listening are coupled but lonely as hell. I even have some people that are listening that don't even know why this topic just hit them in the chest like it just did. So wherever you are, stay with me as I set the frame and give you an understanding of what singleism really is. But before I do that, I had a brother that's close to me that hit me and asked me the question, are you really having a discussion about women being single? He stated it's the biggest false sense of happiness ever. Let me be clear. I am not promoting singleness as happiness. I'm promoting people, men and women, that are not forcing relationships that require them to abandon themselves. Singleism can be a season. It does not have to be your destination. So as I set the frame and give you an understanding, listen in close, because I want you all to embrace this understanding. I don't want us to be considered the outsiders, if you will. I don't want you to forget about what singleism means. I don't want you to lose yourself in a world that surrounds it based on relationships. Singleism is not a season we're waiting to escape, and it's definitely not a punishment. It's not a red flag. It's not what happens when relationships fail. But singleism is a stance. It's the decision to stop treating companionship like oxygen, like that's your aspect of being able to breathe, to exhale, to inhale for some of you all. It's the refusal to let fear pick your partner. You know how some of you getting complacent and content and settle for whatever because you get in that moment of loneliness? We're going to talk about that too. But it's choosing alignment over availability. And I feel like the reason singleism makes people uncomfortable is because it forces one dangerous question. If you weren't afraid to be alone, who would you stop entertaining? I know that sat in somebody's chest as I spoke the words and gave clarity, the understanding, and asked the question that you constantly or probably have asked yourself many of times. You see, the world runs on coupling, social proof, family optics, status by association. But nobody teaches you how to be alone. You all often hear they teach you how to be picked, or who is your person, or what looks good for you, or what looks good with you, especially women, especially men, especially black men, especially black women, especially strong women, and especially strong men. You see, we're taught being desired equals being valuable. So when you hear women say, I'm single by choice, people don't hear that as a strength. They hear that as rebellion. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, after that comes the questions by choice. So what did you do? Why would you choose that? Aren't you lonely? Don't you want somebody? You too independent. You too high maintenance. Or are you selfish? Are you overbearing? Are you a bully? Are you bossy? And these questions are prone to men as well. But let me give you a scenario. Let's talk real life for a second. How many times have you walked into a family function and the first thing out of somebody's mouth is, so, you seen anybody yet? Not how are you? Not are you happy? Not are you okay? No, just straight, what's your relationship status? Like it's a report card. What am I going to get, an A or B? Based on your analogy of what I should be doing, how are you grading me? Is the questions I ask. And when you say, no, I'm good, what's the first response? that tilted their head, right? And then that question that follows, you mean you still single? Let me translate that for you into what they're really saying is, what's wrong with you? You see, that's when singleism shows up. Because now you have to decide whether you want to defend your peace or perform discomfort for others to feel normal. See, that's when we start getting into that process of, I want to make everybody else feel comfortable but myself. How many times have you engaged in relationships based on the fact of not just wanting to hear somebody's damn mouth? Singleism is the moment you stop explaining. The moment you say, I don't care what nobody else thinks. The moment you feel comfortable in the space of being by yourself. The moment you stop giving an explanation. See, with me, I love love. I'm not going to lie. But I'm not going to settle. I'm not going to lower my expectations. I'm not just going to go with the flow because that's what the flow is flowing at the moment. But see, this is why I feel like people get projected on. Because here's something folks don't like admitting. People in unhappy relationships, they project hard onto single people. It might look like roses and smiles, and it may look like happiness and pictures y'all see on social media you watch or scroll, or just in their fake conversations, because some of them in reality are unhappy. There are many times that I've heard people come to me and say, I live vicariously through you. And these are people that are in relationships. I've had one of my parents even state the fact that being single is the best thing they could have done after being married. I had one man tell me that he's married almost 30 years. You better enjoy being single because that's the best part of your life. So it goes back to my statement that people in unhappy relationships, they project hard onto single people because your freedom makes them question their endurance. Your quiet makes them hear their chaos. And your rest exposes their compromise. See, everything that look green is not always better. But here's the funny thing. They start to label you as, oh, you too picky. You too independent. I don't even know what that means. I think all of us have a sense of independence if you want to be honest. Picky, I would take that as, yeah, I could be selective if I want to. I'm not going to settle. So if you want to you want to state that I'm picky because I won't settle for anything, I'm good with that understanding. If I'm too independent because you see me in a space that I'm taking care of myself and not realize I'm preparing myself for my persons, my mates, my better half in time, then I'll take that title too. Intimidating it? Why should I be intimidating to anyone? Don't judge a book by its cover. Get to know the pages, baby. Just because I walk in confidence and I'm learning myself and I've learned myself and I love myself. And you may be in a space that you find in yourself. I don't want you to be intimidated. Maybe I can help you. And hell, maybe you can help me. Or how about the all so famous, you stuck in your ways? As I'm evolving every year, I don't know what way I will be stuck in. Because I'm learning more about me as I evolve all the time. My answer to all of those would be no. I'm just not desperate. Singleism. It's when you realize that loneliness and solitude are not the same thing. You see, loneliness, that's being unseen in a room full of people. But solitude is choosing yourself without resentment. Let me take you deeper. How about those relationships you almost stayed in? You know the ones. And not because it was good, but because you were tired. You know how we get tired of dating, tired of starting over, tired of figuring the person out, tired of turning the pages, tired of explaining yourself, tired of hearing you'll find someone. So the first thing we do is what? You consider shrinking. You soften your boundaries. You start lowering your standards. And that only leads to accepting inconsistency. Singleism is the moment you said, I would rather be alone than emotionally unsafe. And I want you all to understand this. That is not weakness. That's wisdom. Rather being alone to be emotionally unsafe than live by the lie that everybody needs somebody. Oh, we love to say that. Everybody needs somebody. Although we all are created to have our persons. Our Adam to our Eve to our Adam. But what we mean is, in that statement, everybody needs somebody, is that everybody needs a connection. But connection doesn't require captivity. Some of the most connected people that I know, check this out, are single. Because they're not outsourcing their emotional labor to one person. Hear me clearly. They have friendships, purpose, spiritual grounding, community, and joy that isn't unconditional. Singleism is learning how to distribute your intimacy instead of hoarding it in one place. You have to be able to know how to carry yourself, how to build those friendships, how to lead with purpose, how to stay spiritually grounded. Oh my gosh, that's first and foremost. How to move in your community. And joy, that isn't conditional. You want to be able to date while healed or healing. You want to be able to move in that perspective of learning, engaging, dating while self-aware is lonely. Because now you'll be able to see the red flags early. You'll hear the insecurity and jokes. Listen. You'll notice the avoidance and the silence. And you can catch the manipulation and the charm. Come on, y'all. You'll notice the ghosting. You'll notice the quiet. You'll notice those that you fit in with. You'll notice those that are not to be connected to you. And y'all need to understand that everything that you may encounter is not meant to be an attachment. You don't have to stay long enough for it to become familiar, because singleism is leaving early instead of staying long and ending up traumatized. You'll be able to start to see the flags. Getting into singleism is peace, guys. Ladies, you know, over and over in many of my shows, I have shared with you all the idea and the concept of being able to know yourself, to be able to understand yourself, to be able to accept yourself, and to be able to see yourself. Removing the understanding of what the norm portrays is loneliness, when in actuality you're evolving, you're growing, you're learning, you're engaging, you're giving yourself the opportunity to be the best version of yourself, to allow it to balance anything that you walk into going forward. You have to keep in mind that nobody knows what to do with happy single people. Because guess what? When you walk into that peace and that understanding and that happiness of yourself, happy single people don't buy into pressure. We don't accept crumbs now. We don't chase timelines. We don't need saving. And see, systems hate people they can't rush. Singleism, that starts to disrupt capitalism, right? Religion and tradition all at once. And I'm going to tell you why. Because people learned how to be fulfilled alone. And half that nonsense relationships wouldn't even exist. So now that we're moving in a space that we're doing it on our own, and we're creating this happy people. That might be the song I play at the end, as a matter of fact. When we start disrupting things, it's because you've learned how to be fulfilled alone. And half of the nonsense relationships would not even exist. Let me give you a scenario that good on paper person. That person that they had the job, the look, the resume, the public image. You'll see it every day. Social media shares with you everybody's lives, or so they say, right? But through all of that, having that job and that look and that resume and that public image, your spirit said no. See, in singleism, you have to trust that voice. You have to even acknowledge the logic of disagreements, or what you disagree with, right? Because people don't always make sense. Singleism won't get lonely. Singleism still gets lonely sometimes. And that's not a lie. I understand. You get in that space that I want companionship. I want my person. Oh, I know their days. I know their thoughts. I know their moments. I know their times. I know their tears. I know their frustrations. I know that there's visions. There are nights when you want somebody next to you. There's just that body, that feel, that emotion, that touch, that wanting to be held. This is the parts that nobody wants to admit. There are times you wish you had someone you knew their routine or knew your routine. But wanting companionship, and hear me, does not mean you should accept misalignment. Singleism is feeling the want without letting it drive the car. I'm not saying that single means you have to wait. I'm not saying single is you got to be by yourself for a long period of time. But this is the key. You're not waiting to live. You're not on hold, and you're not almost whole. I want you to think of it this way. You are in a complete chapter, not an intermission. And singleism is when your life stops being a preface to someone else's story. You have to learn to be able to put yourself in a position where, as you start to, amongst those emotions and those feelings and those wants and those desires, stop dating in fear. And what I mean by that is allowing yourself to not be in fear of being alone, not be in fear of, oh, I'm 55 years old, which I am, and I still don't have my person. What am I going to do? That anxiety kicks in, and I want that body, and I want someone that I don't want to put my children as my emergency contact or my parents as my emergency contact. I want somebody to care about me. I want somebody to hug me. I want somebody to love me. When you don't have that fear of aging, that fear of judgment, that fear of missing out. That's what singleism is. It's when fear is no longer there and it no longer gets a vote. A lot of times you don't hear these conversations because people don't want to address what they don't want to see. Let's be honest. If you compare how many couples you see online versus single people, the couples outweigh the single, right? It's funny to me how we get in the mindset that if we're single, it's an embarrassment. Now, I'm not saying this applies to everyone, but I've heard it in conversation. So you don't want to publicly show yourself. You don't want people to see where you are in life. But why? If I can encourage you all, and as you prepare to get to the desires of all of our hearts, because I know all of us, well, let me take that back, because there are some single people out here that like being single. They don't want the relationship. And I will be having that conversation as I go along with this series. But those of you in this conversation today, for example, and introducing the understanding of what singleism is and empowering you to understand yourself first. And that's your self-worth, your self-understanding, your self-goals, your self-aspirations, your admirations, your talents, everything about who you are. You're never an embarrassment, baby. Taking this time that a lot of people should take, that a lot of people wish they had took, that ironically people might be vicariously looking through your life. Taking this time is the first step to being the better person that will be able to balance the person that comes into your life. Don't look at this as a waste. Don't look at this as a failure. Don't look at this as a regret. Don't look at this in a negative. Singleism is an opportunity to gauge in the understanding of who you are, where you're going, and how you will get there. See, singleism is not a season. It's not a punishment. It's not holding sale for people who couldn't keep somebody. Singleism is a state of being that society refuses to respect, because guess what? It cannot monetize it, it cannot control it, or pacify it. And let's be honest, right out the gate, the world is deeply uncomfortable with people who are whole without witnesses. Y'all heard me. The world's uncomfortable with that. You don't hear people expounding off the fact that I love her being in her single era. I see where she's going and she's growing in that capacity of herself. Or I see him as he walks in the true self of a king as he is. You see, we live in a culture that treats relationships like validation receipts. If someone chooses to be single, not bitter, not broken, and not waiting, just single, that's when people get uneasy. They get uncomfortable. And that's where those questions are being asked that sound innocent but are actually intrusive audits of your worth. So are you seeing anyone? Don't you want companionship? You know you're not getting any younger, right? But nobody ever asks those questions out of care. They ask because your peace is confronting their compromises. Think about it. Listen. People don't like to be confronted and seeing what coulda, woulda, shoulda. Because singleism exposes things people don't want to look at. It now forces folks to ask themselves. And hear me when I say this, because these are questions that honestly you should be asking before your partner, your mate, your persons is in your life. It forces them to ask themselves, did I choose my partner? Or did I choose relief from loneliness? They ask, did I settle? Or did I surrender? They ask, am I in love? Or this is deep. Or am I afraid to be alone with myself? Y'all know how many times I have had conversations about people being scared to be alone with themselves? What bothers me about that is the getting to know yourself scared you so much that you would rather somebody else know you before you know yourself. How much sense does that really make? Why wouldn't you want to take the time to get to know you? The beauty of who you are, the intelligence, the skill mind, the abilities, the overall. Get to know you. See, singleism is not anti-love. It is anti-performative coupling. It's anti-panic partnership. It's anti-let me grab somebody so I don't look undesirable at Thanksgiving and Christmas. And here's the raw truth. Many people are not afraid of being alone. Hear me when I say this. They're more afraid of being unchosen. They are afraid of silence without distraction. They are afraid of sitting in a room with no one validating them, no one touching them, no one embracing them, no one checking them, no one needing them. And I'm going to be honest with you, because when nobody needs you, you finally have to decide if you like you. Singleism is not about being alone. It's about being whole without witnesses. I can't say that over enough for you to understand. If you think about it, and as I get ready to close, I just want you all to just focus on, I'm going to give you a little scenario. From childhood, we're fed stories that end when someone finds their person. The movie cuts to black, the white picket fence, the children, your house, the dog, love stories, Christmas time especially. You always see the great movies about finding them on a blind date, or your family hooking them up, or whatever the storyline is. When the credit rolls and nobody ever shows what happens after the wedding. Nobody ever shows the compromise, the erosion, the resentment, the identity lost. They just show the prize, that wedding, that glorious wedding you see. So we grow up, we're thinking that goal is not peace. It's not alignment. It's not self-knowing. But the goal is to be chosen. And see, singleism feeds off of that hunger. The funny thing to me, though, is singleism, and as I shared, and as I continue to express, it doesn't just affect single people. It traps married people, and I'm going to tell you why. Because it traps people in relationships they outgrew. It traps people who would rather endure discomfort than face the stigma of being alone. Because in our culture, being unhappy in a relationship is more socially acceptable than being happy by yourself. And that's crazy. It's mind-blowing how we praise endurance over discernment, how we celebrate longevity over alignment, and we clap for couples who stuck it out without even ever asking them what it cost them. Singleism convinces people that any relationship is better than no relationship. And that belief has people sharing beds with strangers. Ones y'all don't even talk to. Y'all don't have a conversation with. Y'all don't sit with. Y'all raising kids with people that don't respect, and aging next to someone who doesn't even know who they've become. How many times have I had conversations with the 20 to 30-year marriages that you're living in separate rooms and you don't want to spend time at home with your wife or your husband, and you're doing it for the kids, and when they get to a certain age, as you're dealing with the pain and the frustration and the unhappiness in your household, but you're doing it for your kids. Because y'all want to set the example that, let's be real, y'all doing it saying that this is what family is supposed to be. We stick together and we're united as a family. But yeah, you're miserable as hell. So are you really setting the understanding that this is what a family is supposed to be when you're not even happy? If you're not even being able to be yourself, are you really showing your son or your daughter endurance, resilience, purpose, alignment, happiness, joy, respect, and love? And yet it's funny to me, the single person who chooses clarity, we the ones that get side-eyed. Some of the most emotionally unavailable people I know are in relationships. And some of the loneliest people I know are married. But yet some of the most grounded, self-aware, healed people I know are single. And as I stated before, I'm going to get into as I go along this series. Singleism doesn't mean that everybody has to have their persons. Don't get me wrong in my statement, because I'm just sharing as we're beginning to get into this series. But I've had those conversations, and I'll share with those that are single, and they are absolutely happy with being single. However, I want to expound on, as I stated, some of the most self-aware and the most grounded people I know are healed people that are single. Because singleism lies. It tells us that being alone equals being lonely. But loneliness comes from disconnection, not solitude. You can be deeply connected to yourself and still be single. But yet you can be deeply lonely lying next to someone who doesn't see you. Singleism also lies about productivity. Because we act like people only mature through relationships. Like self-work only happens when someone triggers you. Or like growth requires friction with another person. No, baby, growth happens when you're honest, and honesty is harder when there's when there's nobody else to blame. You will find that single removes the distraction, it removes the mirror deflection, it removes the excuse of that's just how relationships are. Because when you're single, everything comes back to you. Your patterns, your wounds, your habits, your standards, your boundaries, and your choices. And that's why some people stay booked and busy, traveling the world, out in all these events, doing this single solo movement. It's not because they love. It's because they're still avoiding stillness. And let me talk about that before I digress and before I end. Some people don't fear being single. They fear being still, okay? Because stillness exposes the noise. It forces you to hear your own thoughts without interruption. And if you don't like yourself, stillness feels like a punishment. So therefore, people stay in situationships. They keep texting exes. They watch, scan, scroll, watch your exes or relationships online. They entertain crumbs. They keep one foot in the door just in case. And it's not because they want the person. It's just that they don't want the quiet. Singleism, it thrives on avoidance. And it lets you come out of that moment of being by yourself and focusing on yourself. Let me address one other thing, especially for women. Single women, you're often treated like you're either too picky or secretly broken. If you have standards, you're difficult. If you're peaceful, you're detached. If you're confident, you're intimidating. I get it. I talked about it. This is what we are experiencing, what people have shared with me, which I understand. But meanwhile, men are praised for being selective, for taking their time, or for playing the field. I have to speak on this because singleism is genderized or gendered. Excuse me, I made a word up, gendered. it's rationalized and it's age biased, and it shows up differently depending on who you are. And that's just facts, because women over a certain age who are single are interrogated, whereas a man is focused. It's funny to me as I say that, because as a black woman, single is assumed in most cases you angry. Why we gotta be angry though? We gotta be the angry black woman because we by ourselves. But then I gotta speak for my men too, because it's already assumed that you're uncommitted, that you're a dog, or that you did something wrong, and that's not the right perspective of thinking. Again, men just like women, it could be by choice. It could be by growth. It could be by evolvement. It could be many of things. Again, people judge based on a cover and don't read the pages. But I will say this, a woman who chooses solitude is judged harder than a woman who tolerates chaos. And that's not accidental. Because a woman who doesn't need a relationship to validate her is harder to manipulate. Think about it. A person who knows themselves and doesn't accept crumbs. And systems don't like people who can't be rushed, scared, or shamed into compliance. That makes it harder to validate her, right? And I'm not just, as I'm saying women, men, gauge into this understanding, because this is a balance for you as well. Because alike we are in aspects of what singleism's balance is. Singleism is about control. But let me say this clearly, because somebody really needs to hear this. And I want you to understand me as I'm digressing. After this, I'm going to go into my ending. And I know y'all like, Riley, you don't end yet, but I don't want to end either. But I will make this a series because there's so much more to talk about. Choosing to be single is not giving up on love. I want you to understand. It's choosing quality over proximity. It's choosing alignment over access, and it's choosing your truth over performance. So if you are single right now, like myself, it's not because nobody wants you. But I applaud you, because it's that you decided to stop participating in confusion. And that's not failure, that's discernment. You don't owe anybody a relationship to prove your worth. And understand, people that are in relationships that are listening, this is not an attack. This is an invitation to reflect. Because I got to ask you to ask yourself, did you choose this person, or did I choose relief from loneliness? Am I here because I'm aligned, or because I'm afraid to start over? Am I here because it was comfort in that moment, because I didn't know myself and somebody took on the ability to gauge me? Am I here because I didn't take the ability to learn myself and that person is teaching me? Am I growing, or am I just enduring? Those are deep questions. And I'm sure if you think about it, half of y'all haven't even asked yourself those questions. In reality, you've moved on into relationships from one relationship to the other because you were lonely, don't like to be alone, don't want to take time to be in that stillness. But sit back and really ask yourself those questions. And for my single people, singleism does not end when you get into a relationship. It follows you into it. It keeps you afraid to leave, afraid to ask questions, afraid to stand alone if it stops serving you. You see, that's why this conversation mattered. The goal is not to be single forever. I get it. I don't want y'all to be single forever. Those of you that would and want a relationship, I'm all for it. But baby, the goal is to be so grounded alone that partnership becomes a choice and not a rescue mission. I'm gonna keep talking about these myths, the pressure, the lies, the freedom, the grief, the clarity, the power, because singleism deserves to be named out loud. And if this conversation has made you uncomfortable, that's okay, boo. Because growth usually does. I just need you to stay with me. Because we're just getting started. And I have so much more that I want to take you into so that you'll be able to succeed, understand, and not be afraid to sit in the stillness of who you are, baby. Love on you so that you be ready. You want to be ready, right? You want to be able to balance. We're not looking for somebody that's going to take charge. We're not looking for somebody that's going to take on. We're not looking for somebody that's going to accept, but you want somebody that's going to balance. Because you're already in the pruning stage. You're already in the growth stage. You're already in the evolvement stage. You're already in the getting to know yourself stage. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to be easy. You're not going to like some parts of you. And what makes you think that you could take those parts to somebody else and they got to deal with that? That ain't fair. You lynching off somebody else. Now they have to have an understanding about themselves, about how they feel in this situation. Going back to asking my questions. I'm sorry, answer my questions. Feel me? Singleism is not about being alone. It's about being whole without witnesses. And if you're single today, don't let nobody convince you that your life is unfinished. Please don't. Enjoy who you are. Get the understanding of who you are. Take this time to be able to be present in you. And tapping into spirituality, God has probably set you down alone for you to be able to see you, see him, and see the understanding of what your purpose, your alignment, and your persons will be. Because hell, if you think about the choices you made in your past, where have they got you to? Let me say it like nobody else said. You sitting by yourself, right? I'm doing the same thing. That's why I can talk about it. But this is why I love my platform, because I love having the conversations that no one wants to have. And I'm speaking in real talk, real time, real understanding, because I'm a single woman myself. But I would tell you this, I've evolved and I keep evolving. I'm learning and I keep educating myself. I start with the mirror before I turn that mirror around to somebody else. If you are coupled but uneasy, don't resist single people for chasing honesty, for walking in their presence, for taking the time to learn themselves. I'm not knocking y'all, I'm just trying to give y'all some understanding. Singleism isn't about rejecting love. It's about respecting yourself enough not to counterfeit it. And guess what? If and when love comes, this time, this place, and then this understanding, you will meet the whole and not the hollow. I think it's more important for us to be able to gauge that I could come to somebody whole. I've learned from my past mistakes, my past situations, my past misunderstanding, my past relationships. I've learned that what hurt me, I don't want to bleed on someone else. I've learned that how I've hurt people, I don't want to bleed on someone else. Because see, let me say this and hear me clearly. Y'all got to take accountability in your actions now. Your past relationships, come on, somebody. Y'all don't want to talk about it, but it's real. Your past relationships had problems that weren't just of your persons, your mate, your partner, whatever you want to call them. But what about your accountability? What part did you play in that? I want to land this carefully because I don't want anyone leaving this conversation feeling defensive, feeling discouraged, or confused. If you want a relationship, want it. If you desire partnership, own that. There is nothing wrong with love. But what is wrong is treating singleness like something that needs to be apologized for. Single is not a sentence, y'all. It's not a punishment handed down by God. It's not proof that you missed your moment. And it's not indication that you're unlovable. Sometimes, like I just stated, it's protection. Sometimes it's preparation. You gotta prepare yourself. You gotta protect yourself. And sometimes it's peace. Haven't been married, haven't been engaged, having had relationships in my past. Being single, I learned a lot about who I am, what peace is, and how to really live in happiness. And sometimes it's just where you are. And I want you to know this from my mouth to your ears. Where you are is allowed to be valid. I need people to hear this in 2026 as we start the new year. You are not behind. You are not running out of time. And you are not invisible. Your life is happening right now. And if love comes, and I'm talking about real love, it will meet you whole, not waiting. So whether you're single by choice, or by circumstance, or by season, I want you to stay in there. I don't want you rushing out of it. Don't explain it away. And don't let anybody make you feel like you're on hold. Single is not a sentence, y'all. You're not locked up. You're not about to see the warden. Not be put on probation. Single is not a sentence. It's a statement. And in 2026, we are finally saying it out loud. I hope that I shared some light to somebody today. I hope that you all felt it in your chest, baby. I hope that you all got some understanding. I hope you see yourselves in this moment. I hope that you get into your singleism and enjoy it. Take this time. If you're single, enjoy it, baby. Understand yourself. Love yourself. Teach yourself. Grow. Evolve. It's not too late. I love y'all. This is Riley the Red Pill, and I am here every Tuesday from 4 to 5 p.m. I am back, y'all. It's 2026. I am living this life like it's golden, and I want y'all to do the same. Make sure you tune in here on Rough Riders Radio. We have new stations that we picked up. We're also going video. You'll be able to see me soon because I know a lot of people are tired of hearing just audio. This is your girl, Riley the Red Pill. I love y'all. I want you all to be the best versions of yourself. And I'm here
motivated,
tune in each and every Tuesday.
innovative, inspirational, with real life understanding and real talk with real situations. It's Rob, the Red Pill Talk Show. Let's go.